they shouted, "Not this man, but Barabbas." The reading of the Passion brings us face to face with one of the most dramatic encounters between two individuals in history. The meeting between Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and Pontius Pilate, a Roman governor. This governor had full civil, military, and criminal authority and was personally appointed by the emperor, to whom he was directly answerable. Thus, what unfolds is a confrontation between God and Rome, between righteousness and evil. In the midst of this confrontation, another figure steps into the scene. It is very likely that this individual never imagined having a role in the history of redemption. And it's just as certain that he never expected to win a popularity contest against someone else. This man appears suddenly like a flash of lightning and vanishes just as swiftly into obscurity, never to be heard from again. I imagine he might have lived the rest of his life and passed away without fully grasping the significance of that day. His origins and his fate afterward remain unknown. This man's name is Barabbas, and it is recorded, they shouted in reply, "Not this man, but Barabbas." Now, Barabbas was a bandit. So what is the identity of Barabbas? Barabbas is a name that comes from Aramaic. And Aramaic is a language that developed when the Israelites were captured, and it mixed with the Hebrew language spoken in ancient Israel. This is something similar to how Hindi and English mix to form Hinglish in some parts of India. In Hebrew, Ben means son. For example, in the Bible, in Genesis chapter 35, verse 18, it tells us that as Rachel was dying after a difficult childbirth, she named her son Ben-Oni, which means son of my great sorrow. However, Jacob called him Benjamin, meaning son of my right hand. In Aramaic, the word for son is not Ben, but Bar. Perhaps you recall that Simon Peter's real name was Simon Bar Jonah, or Simon, son of John. Another example is Bartholomew, which means son of Talmai. Now, the name is Barabbas. Perhaps your mind is already recognizing what it means. Bar means son, and Abba means father. So Barabbas is the son of a father. Actually, many biblical scholars and linguists tell us that Paul's writing at this point is a bit less formal than we usually read. They say that Abba is a warm, intimate name that might actually be better translated as daddy. Now we are talking about the son of a daddy, Barabbas. It could mean that here was one who was welcomed warmly into a loving family, and they named him as they did, Daddy's Boy. It would seem, however, that this Daddy's Boy had taken a wrong turn, for now he is a notorious prisoner. Matthew's Gospel tells us that in Matthew chapter 27, verse 16. Then again, there is a kind of generic ring to this name Barabbas, for everyone is a son of a daddy or a daughter of a daddy. If this is true, then perhaps what we can say that Barabbas stands in this place at this moment in history for each one of us. That is the Barabbas moment. It is likely around 6 o'clock in the morning. The top of the temple starts to catch the first light of the day, emerging from the night as dawn approaches. Down in the valley near the Dead Sea, darkness lingers as night retreats more slowly there. The narrow streets of the city are still shrouded in darkness as well. However, if you listen carefully, you can hear the sound of footsteps. People are beginning to stir. On one dark street, there is a knock on a door. Someone answers and receives a whispered message. They have taken the Nazarene. The Sanhedrin condemned him last night. Maybe today we will witness his great power rise to destroy Rome. With that, first one person, then 2, 3, 4, and soon a small trickle becomes into a stream, eventually turning into a vast river of people, all moving from the Passover-filled city of Jerusalem towards the palace where Pontius Pilate dispenses Roman justice. Inside that palace is one unhappy man. Pilate is none too pleased about being awakened in the middle of the night to deal with what he considers essentially a Jewish problem. Yes, the Jews. Pilate's hatred for the Jews is legendary and is matched only by their hatred for him. So gruffly, Pilate steps out and asks the Jews a question. What accusation do you bring against this man? In their best ecclesiastical voices, they answer, if this man were not a criminal, we would not have handed him over to you. Then Pilate responds, take him yourself and judge him according to your law. The Jews replied, we are not permitted to put anyone to death. If Pontius Pilate is a master of anything, it is the art of political power plays. Matthew helps us with more details again. He reports that an aide comes to see Pilate and whispers a message from Pilate's wife that he should not harm the Nazarene, whom she calls an innocent man, for she had suffered a great deal because of a dream about him. We read that in Matthew chapter 27, verse 19. So Pilate goes back inside and calls for Jesus to be brought to him. He asked Jesus, are you king of the Jews? Jesus answered, do you ask this of your own, or did others tell you about me? Pilate replied, I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done? Jesus answered, my kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here. Pilate asked him, so you are a king? Jesus answered, you say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice. Pilate then asked him, what is truth? After he had said this, he went out to the Jews again and told them, I find no case against him. But you have a custom that I release someone for you at the Passover. Do you want me to release for you the King of the Jews? They shout in reply, not this man, but Barabbas. Pilate has never seen anything like this before. He remembers the reports from only a few days before that many of the very same people now calling for Barabbas were waving palm branches at this Jesus and shouting hosannas. In calling for Barabbas to be offered against Jesus, he is calling for a notorious criminal. No doubt, Pilate reasons that these Jewish leaders and those who follow them would choose Jesus over Barabbas. And he would have pulled off another slick political move and his problems would go away. He imagines that he and his cronies would laugh at this later. Good old Pilate, they would say, you played them like a Roman fiddle. But it was not to be, for they cried out with one loud voice, choosing a criminal over the Christ. They choose the son of a father over the son of the Father. And the world would never be the same again. Barabbas is set free. When Pilate heard these words, he brought Jesus outside and sat on the judge's bench at a place called the stone pavement, or in Hebrew, the Gabbatha. Now, it was the day of preparation for the Passover, and it was about noon. He said to the Jews, "Here is your king." They cried out, "Away with him! Away with him! Crucify him!" Pilate asked them, "Shall I crucify your king?" The chief priests answered, "We have no king but the emperor." Then he handed him over to them to be crucified. So they took Jesus, and carrying the cross by himself, he went out to what is called the place of the skull, which in Hebrew is called Golgotha. There they crucified him. And Barabbas went free and disappeared. Or did he? Barabbas, do you hear me? Barabbas, are you there listening to me? Barabbas, I see you. Barabbas, because my friend, you are Barabbas and I am Barabbas. We all have a little bit of Barabbas in us, for we are all guilty of some crime against God, some sin that separated us from our Master. While we may not know what life looks like from the wrong side of the prison cell, the fact is that we are, many of us, still prisoners, trapped by whatever it is that keeps us from absolute surrender to Jesus. Like Barabbas, we may hide, but we will not get out of this world alive. Listen to me, son or daughter of a father. My only hope and your only hope, the only hope of any Barabbas, is to realize that another, the sinless Son of the Father, has died in the place of the sinful sons and daughters of all this world's fathers. Having realized this, let us not escape. Instead, let us come clean with Jesus and embrace his grace offered to us through Calvary's cross. May Jesus Christ be praised.